My name is Brad Silverberg. I joined Microsoft in 1990, right after Windows 3.0 launched. I was head of the Windows team as well as the MS-DOS team. We introduced MS-DOS 5 later, Windows 3.1, Windows for Workgroups 3.1.1, then Windows 95, which is what I think I'm best known for. I would say they were extraordinary years. I have incredible memories. We changed the world during those years, and it was really a highlight of my life to be part of those years, to be lucky enough to work with some truly extraordinary people throughout the company to build products that changed the world. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm very proud of being born in Cleveland. It was a great place to grow up. I graduated high school in 1972, went to college on the East Coast at Brown University, graduated in 1976. I was a nerd. I was awkward, a little bit introverted. I was pretty smart, and I kind of stood out in school for my academic achievements. But it was like growing up in the 60s. We had a lot of freedom. We had our bikes. Everybody rode around. We played, football or baseball or got in a little trouble or whatever. It's like, after school, you just went off and did whatever you wanted as long as you were home by dinner time. And then going off to college was really a huge change in my life. I went to college at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, and it opened my eyes to a whole new world. There were kids from all over the country, kids from public school, kids from private schools, kids from more modest backgrounds, kids from very wealthy backgrounds. And it just completely opened my eyes to a different way of life, a different level of intellectual challenge, and possibilities of a much bigger world. So freshman year, I signed up for my political science class, history class, German class, and then I needed a fourth class to fill out my schedule. And for some still unknown reason to me, I decided to take a computer science class that was Applied Mathematics 51, Introduction to Computer Languages. Well, I didn't know there was an applied mathematics department and had no exposure to computers at all in high school. This was 1972. I had no concept of what does it mean for a computer language, but I knew I loved languages. I was studying German. I was going to sign up for Linguistics 101. So I crossed off Linguistics 101. I wrote in AM 51, and I thought, okay, I'm curious. I'm a very curious person. I thought, I'll give it a try. The first month or two, I really struggled. I just didn't get it. I was really frustrated. But then one Saturday night, it was like this lightning bolt. And it hit me. And I had these insights on how to program a computer that had escaped me for those previous 2 months. And I was hooked. At that point, I knew that I was going to make computers my career. And I moved out west to Silicon Valley to start my career on the West Coast. I was at Apple on the Lisa project. I was an individual contributor at the time, writing code, initially on Lisa Write, the word processor. I joined a startup in Silicon Valley in 1982. That was fun. We did some great work, but we were a little bit ahead of our time. Product didn't really take off. We got acquired by a company called Borland. We had an amazing group of developers at Borland, and we had spunk, we had swagger. We felt we were like the elite, and we competed with Microsoft. We tend to win a lot of awards against Microsoft. I know we got under Bill and Steve's skin at Microsoft, and we enjoyed that. We all could see the potential and power of the PC. To me, being in Silicon Valley then felt world historic. I mean, it really felt like This was something akin to a new industrial revolution. This was not just incrementing whatever the previous technology was, that we were on the frontier of a technology and economic impact that was going to change the world in fundamental ways like the Industrial Revolution did. And then couple that with connectivity that Xerox invented with the Ethernet to be able to network computers together and be able to do distributed computing. I mean, it was such a intoxicating vision for me. I really did feel like this was a world historic opportunity, and I wanted to take full advantage of it. Microsoft came calling in 1989, early 89, and I met with Bill, I met with Steve, I got to know the company. They made me an offer, and in the end, I didn't take it. I was still too committed to my team at Borland. I wasn't quite ready to say goodbye, and there was a mental leap of faith I had to make to come to Microsoft. The rivalry sometimes was pretty tough. So the sense of leaving Borland to go to Microsoft, it was not like leaving Borland to go to another company. It was like defecting. And then the famous earthquake hit, the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake hit. I think that was October 17th, 5:04 p.m. We were in the process of cutting the master discs for Quattro Pro when the earthquake hit, and the building shook and nearly collapsed. And it was probably the most terrified I was in my life. And things continued to kind of not go in the direction I wanted at Borland. So that November, I sent Bill an email. So Bill offered me the opportunity the previous job was in the applications group. This job was going to be leading the MS-DOS and Windows group. We had a very expansive vision for Windows 95. We wanted it to be the operating system that brought the joy and power of personal computing to everybody. Computers at that point had gotten relatively more affordable and relatively more powerful as the Intel 386 chip became popular. It opened up the door to technological innovation that had really been blocked before that. We saw that there could be an inflection point in the industry by the migration of 32 bits, graphical computing, connected computing available to the mass market. And we went for it. It was a big challenge, for sure, to be able to implement this really expansive vision. But we had a great team. It was a small team. It was really kind of shockingly small in today's numbers. I think the Windows 95 team was about 360 people. And that includes development, test, program management, product management, user ed, management overhead. We then took, I think, a fairly innovative approach to the development at the time, which was we laid out a set of principles for the project. What we wanted the product to accomplish. Those principles gave people that framework for making decisions. It told them not just what to do, but it also gave them clear guardrails on what not to do. So if it was something within that framework, go write great software. If it's not, don't do it. Even if it sounds cool or you thought it would be a great feature to have, if it doesn't fit in that framework, we're not doing it. We eventually boiled it down into a smaller number of principles and then requirements. The first one was build a modern, integrated, protect mode, 32-bit, reliable operating system. Number two was it needed to be easy and fun. The way I helped describe this to the team, and they really loved the idea, was we wanted it to be easy enough for Brad's mom to use. This was, again, early 1993, 94, 95. computers weren't that common. Most moms and dads didn't really have computers. And so whenever there was an issue that came up on making a decision about how to use the product, people would ask, is this going to be easy enough for Brad's mom? And she was a good proxy for everybody's mom. So those were the main feature areas. But then we added some requirements that made the project even more difficult. We wanted it to be fully compatible with the user's existing environment and run well on their existing environment and mainstream affordable machines. There were two other things that we wanted to add to those requirements. The first one was to make it global from the beginning. Up till then, software had been basically coded for English in the US, and that when you wanted to localize it for another country, another language, you had to go into the code. It wasn't just a matter of changing the strings for the menus and so on. You had to go into the code and make the changes. It was very painful. We ended up being able to launch in 8 languages simultaneously. The other thing that we added, and this one was added more towards the end, was accessibility. Till that point, accessibility really wasn't that important to the computer industry. We knew Windows 95 was going to be big. We could feel in our bones. We felt it was going to be a great product. There were actually 2 celebrations. The first celebration was on RTM Day. Now, again, people here today may not fully understand how software used to be. Back then, it was distributed on floppies or CD-ROMs. We didn't really have online ways of distributing software. So we had to release the product to manufacturing, what we call a golden disc, that got released to the OEM so that they could install it on their machines that could be ready for a launch. And that we could also then build packages that would be in the retail stores for launch day. So RTM Day was July 14th, Bastille Day. And David Cole and I signed the master disc in front of the team members. And we kind of went crazy on campus. That was 3 years worth of tension, stress, anxiety, hard work, long hours that just got popped like champagne. And David, he had this little pickup truck, little red Toyota pickup truck. We bought cases of Dom Perignon, and we also bought some cheap champagne. The Dom was for drinking, the cheap champagne was for spraying. And we went pretty crazy on campus. We were running through the fountain. We were running through the offices. That was an incredible release of tension and pride. And that party, that celebration was really for the team. That was for ourselves. The August 24th, general availability launch date, that was for the world. That was for the company. That was for the world. That was an event on campus. We had Jay Leno, as everybody knows, on stage with Bill. I got on the stage at the end. And probably the proudest moment of my entire career, at the end of the event, at the end of the speeches, the stage opened up to reveal the entire development team sitting in bleachers behind in colored shirts to match the color of the flag, the Windows flag, to a standing ovation, and the pride of the team, that all that they put into that product, their hearts and souls, you could see it, and you could see the appreciation. I was so proud of that team. As big as we thought it would be, it was bigger. It was transcendent. It changed the world.